Hi, my name is Andrea Romano, and I was the voice and casting director for Batman Beyond. And you are watching, listening to, For All Nerds.
Hey fam, it's Tatiana King-Jones, and we're at Comic-Con at New York 2019, and I'm here with Andrea Romano, casting and dialogue director of Batman Beyond, one of my favorite series of all time. Seriously. Considering that you have to, you're in charge of the voices and making sure that people are represented in this show. One of my favorite characters was Max Gibson. You had Cree Summer, like voice actress god of the world there. And, understanding that like these people that you are putting in place can, kind of jog the imagination of the viewers. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, you mentioned Cree specifically, and she is a goddess. You're absolutely right. She's so stunning. I first used her on, I think it was Tiny Toons, where she played Elmira, which was so crazy. I think she was like 17 when she did that show for me. She was quite young. And then I brought her in for this series, and she, again, is so versatile. I could use her for Max and other characters in the show as well. And Lauren Tom, who was Asian, because the character was Asian, and it made me happy to have all different color actors as much as possible, because we were pretty much presenting the show in a high school. Go to any high school, it should be filled with kids of all different colors, and that made me really happy. I also like the fact that there are so many actresses that can do, and actors as well, who can do the sound of a younger character. So even though Will was older than 17, he could easily sound 17. He still can sound 17. Cree can still sound 17. Lauren can still sound 17. That's the ability of these wonderful, versatile voiceover actors. And so I loved putting some of those, even at that time they were already so somewhat experienced, putting them together with people who hadn't worked before and get them to all work together and learn from each other. And so it was such a beautiful melting pot of talent as far as watch what she does. And it was fun to watch actors who would like stand up and look at the other actor and watch them work and watch how they would move, because moving is a big part of voice acting. You have to wear quiet clothes, but you want to move, because if the character is throwing a punch, you want to go, huh. And actually, that's right. If I just went, huh, it's not as, huh. It's better, right, if you do the motion. And so that was always fun to have everybody in the room doing it at the same time and having all these fabulous actors. It was like having a family that you handpicked as opposed to the family that you're given, which is the best.
Your job sounds so cool. Seriously, so like, for people who are growing up and they see that, they're like, you know what, I want to do that behind the scenes. I want to be a part of that. What advice would you give them, and how did you get involved in that?
I was an actor first, and this is not an uncommon path. I was an actor first, then I was an agent representing actors who did voiceover. And at that point, I started taking voiceover classes myself, so that I started to learn what this thing is that these actors are doing. And then I did that for several years, and then I became the casting director at Hanna-Barbera. And when I was an agent, I used to go to sessions at Hanna-Barbera, because why wouldn't you? Right. And then when I was the casting director there, I was watching Gordon Hunt, who was my mentor, and he was the director at Hanna-Barbera. This is the time of Smurfs and Snorks. And it was also the time when it was Popeye and Son, Pink Panther and Son, Muppet Babies were being done by other studios. They started it off. It was all the younger versions, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, all those kinds of shows, yep. So I was casting all of those. And then Disney formed their TV animation division and asked me to come and direct DuckTales. And so I went over and did that while I was still at Hanna-Barbera, which would never have been allowed today, to be on staff at Hanna-Barbera and directing for Disney, a direct competition. And then Warner Brothers TV Animation was formed, and they asked me to come direct Tiny Toons, their first series. And at that point, I had to make the decision to leave Hanna-Barbera. And that was terrifying. I was just like, oh no steady salary, no paid sick days, no. And so, but I never looked back, and it was the best risk I ever took. And so I never stopped working. So DuckTales and Tiny Toons, and then Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, all those wonderful shows. And I became knowledgeable in this DC universe, which I know more about the DC universe than any 63-year-old woman should know. I've forgotten more than most women should know. But it was a joy to be brought into this boys' club. Suddenly I was allowed into this boys' club, and I had to start reading comic books, which I never did as a kid. And I was very proud to be a part of that whole world.
And look at you now, living legend.
I'm living the life. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.